Yeah, curious how you approach this tomorrow night. A USL opponent, but quarterfinals of a major tournament. Do you approach it like Pineda approached it, or do you have your own approach to personnel and things?
I mean, I approach every game as they come. Like I've said before, we take every game in its own self. I've been in the position that these teams have been in as a player, so I know how much it means to be in that position to try to knock off an MLS opponent. And every game we come up against, we want to win. So the players that are available and will play in this game are players that I believe can win this game and advance us in the Open Cup, because I think ultimately you're playing for a trophy, and it's, for me, it's always really important. It's opportunity to show for yourself and show for the club.
I'm only going to ask you about one player, Caleb. Will Caleb play tomorrow night?
He'll be, I would imagine, I mean, we're looking at all players, so he's on the list of players that I'm hoping that are available and ready to go. I mean, he's played a lot of minutes over the last couple games. He would hopefully be somebody that we can see feature.
What is your U.S. Open Cup experience you were talking about just now?
Yeah, I mean, I played in Orlando City in USL, and we played, I'm trying to think of, I'll miss some of the teams, but we played against Chicago Fire away. We played against Sporting Kansas City twice, maybe. Mm-hmm. I remember beating Sporting Kansas City there, and it was amazing. Maybe they don't, like, Peter probably doesn't remember that game. He's coached so many, but it's like that was such a pivotal moment for us, like, as players, and it's something I remembered because I wanted, as a player, I wanted to get back to that level. I wanted to be where those guys were at, and just showing, like, proving myself, like, hey, we beat you guys. Like, I deserve an opportunity to get there. So I had a little bit of that chip on my shoulder. So moments like that, playing in their stadium was awesome. Chicago, I played. I scored a goal, but we ended up getting beat pretty bad in that game. But like moments like that, I still remember it. So it's something that, like, I'm sure these guys will have a chip on their shoulder. Where Mario Williams used to play here, people wanting to prove that he should still be here. Guys that have been in MLS and again just trying to prove themselves, and that's on us as a group to make sure that we stand up and know, hey, no, like, we're not gonna be half tilt, or we're not gonna disrespect the opponent in any way. We're gonna come to win the game.
You didn't have a lot of time today to work on the set piece defense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious how those conversations went. How do you fix it when you don't have a lot of time to train?
No, it's great. We went straight to it. We looked at the video, so that was the first thing we showed this morning. We went straight to it, and we looked each other in the face about, like, I look at this environment. It's a learning environment of how. Why we touched on this at the very beginning. It was like making new mistakes. Making no mistakes would be great. But it's not. As we're humans, we make mistakes, and so now we've made 3 in one game, and now it's about eliminating that. So we've held each other accountable about whether it's a role or responsibility, or whether it's more of a approach of how we shift the line or how we defend a certain set piece or a certain player. So we went straight to it. We didn't hide from it. And now we just move on to get better. So yeah, if you can't do it on the field, the best way to do it is in the video and having conversation about it.
Out on the other side of that equation, on the offensive set pieces, I don't think the team has scored from a corner this year. I think there's been 1 set piece goal all season. Is there anything you can identify to do better, or is it pure luck based?
No, nothing's luck. You create your own luck. I think that there's, like, we've looked at, being intentional about getting better at deliveries. I think that's a big portion of it. So we've done a lot of extra work in the short period that we've had. Even on days where we might be a short session, we've taken guys that take set pieces to get better at the delivery part. Because if you're not working on it, like, how are you actually going to get better at it? It's somewhat of an art. Like, when you're putting deliveries in the box, people might think it's really easy to always hit the same zone. It's clearly not. I think but you have to be intentional about the work you go into. So there's that part. I think different creative ways of where we can have either, whether it's a block or a run, creating that space. And then I think, like, ultimately it's about a desire and aggression to score or not get scored on. So I think that's a piece that is not as easily trained. It's just a consistent message and drip feeding it in of, like, this is how we're going to approach it. This is the mentality of it, and hopefully there will be a change. Like, that's what we're pushing at, and we're being intentional that we can about all the training hours that we have, or the video sessions, or conversation. So that's the way we're trying to approach it.
What specifically are you looking for with deliveries?
Every opponent's a little bit different in terms of where.
Yeah.
So it's whether it's an out swinging ball or an in swinging ball. I don't, not because I'm hiding it. I just can't give you the specifics of exactly where. Like, say Salt Lake, we really wanted to attack, like, the near post, but we had to create that space. So we asked there to be a player that was in a different position so that we could drag that space to open up. So not to give too much away for other people to watch, but just that there's an area like that we might want to exploit. So now they know, okay, when we do the intentional deliveries, hey, these are the areas you're looking at. This is how we're going to create that space that you can move into. So things like that.
Is there anyone coach that's in charge of set piece design at this point?
All of us right now. Yeah, we all take that responsibility. We make sure that when we go out, like, yeah, maybe one person delivers it, but at the same time, like, it's all our responsibility. And ultimately, for me, it's my responsibility to make sure that everybody knows their role.
Under Consala, who was in charge of that?
It was shared, like, but there was 2 coaches that were in charge of it. Yeah.
How are Open Cup games different in terms of the feel than a regular season match?
Good question. Yeah, I mean, there's like that winner go home type feeling. Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I don't know. It's hard to explain because in the league games, like, you somewhat know there's another one coming. This one you don't know, and there's a lot that's going on around. So I think that's another reason why I always ask these guys to be present and stay in the moment of where they're at and where their feet are. So the game that we're approaching now, like, it will have a different feel to it, sure, because there's the mentality piece of, hey, if you win, you move on and you advance to hopefully get yourself one step closer to a trophy. So there's a closer outcome achievable that you can look at.
Are there things that become like more important in these kind of games? Is the start different? Are there things that you try to message differently?
The one thing that is different is that if you tie the game, then you go into extra time. So there's that. But I would say, like, that's something that would probably be in the back of everybody's head. But it's like, in terms of how you approach the game, you approach it to outcomes always the same. We always want to win. So the approach never changes from that standpoint. And then the tactics or the roster or the game plan can change from there. But yeah, it is another game, so you have to approach it in that way as well.
Matt Edwards has started and played a big role in the last 2 Open Cup matches. Will more than likely have a huge impact tomorrow. What does he bring to the game for you guys and going to be on the pitch tomorrow?
Yeah, he's somebody that, looking at him over the last, I've known him for a while now, but when you watch him in this environment, like, he's somebody that's really grateful for the opportunity. At least that's how I see it in my eyes. And every chance he's got, he's earned it, and I think he's done a really good job. I think that Matt has got a lot of good leadership qualities in himself, and he's still young, so he's still got that youthfulness to him, that he's taking the experience that he gets in each game. And if he plays a part in tomorrow, then I'm sure we'll see more of that. But it's been fun to watch and see him take those opportunities and do really well with them.
I talked to Matt as well, and he touched a little bit on his relationship with Jay Fortune and how Jay has really stepped up into this leader, especially for him, a lot of the other players who do get called up. What is it like to see Jay really grow into this leader, not only for just the academy, but also for the team as a whole?
Yeah, Jay's awesome. I really like Jay. It's funny, he's young in age, but he's got like this old man wisdom somewhat behind him. Not wisdom maybe, but sarcasm. So he's got a great personality, and for the younger guys, he is somebody that they can kind of lean on. I think sometimes when he's serious, he's serious. When he's joking, he's really jovial, and everyone loves being around him. And I know for Matt, they grew up together, so it's somebody that he probably relies on a lot. He's had a little more experience in this environment, so he can have those back and forths about what this environment is like. But I also think that in the other way, Matt balances them out, because Matt's at times can be more of that serious leader in the way he approaches things. So they have this good balance. But yeah, he's a good character, and he's been a different type of leader in his own right.
How important do you think it is for those guys to see what Caleb has accomplished and getting this Olympic call-up?
Yeah, I'm sure they're super happy for him. I think it's all of it's awesome, because you've got, let's try to think of all the young ones that there are. There's Caleb, there's Noah, there's Luke, there's Johnny, there's Matt, Ephra. I'm gonna miss somebody, and they're gonna kill me for it. But those guys are all around each other. Like, man, how cool is that? And now, like, one of their better friends is going to the Olympics. Like, that's really cool. So I think that, they all push each other in different ways. Oh, Wolfie's in that category too, because I watch them in the hotel rooms and when they're all hanging out in the meal rooms and things like that, and they're messing with each other. And I'm just thinking, like, man, this was me when I was a kid, like on the trip, like with my buddies, but now they're doing this at a whole different level. So I think they bring back the youthfulness in the game to me, but they've got like this different chip on their shoulder and how they approach things. But I'm sure it's for them. I'm sure it's really cool. I'm talking for them, but like I think it's got to be really cool to see their friend go and accomplish something. And I imagine it'll push them, because whether they can't go to this Olympics, but maybe it's pushed them for something greater in their career.
Ralph, you've been around.
Caleb mentioned that you and Matt Lowry are a big reason why he's developed the way he has. What is it like for you personally to see his development and now him going to the Olympics as well?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super proud of him. I think that it's nice of him to say that, but ultimately, like, we're just here to help guide them in a certain direction, and because we've got maybe more years of experience, more years of life, and so we try to pass on things. There's no one person that plays a part in that kid's development. Like, he's got a great family. He's had great coaches, and Matt's been somebody that's helped mold him into some of the player he is. But he's had to take the information on and apply it, because you can give players information and you can help them in that way when they're young. But ultimately, he's had to go and apply himself, and he's done that. So it's a big credit to him of what he's done out there, because he's applied it and done even better than probably most would expect.
To follow up on that, I'm sure you coach guys that have played in the Olympics and come back. What does that do for them personally, as well as what they can add when they come back from the team? I mean, how much does that benefit their play?
I don't know if I actually have coached anybody that's gone to the Olympics, maybe. I'm trying to think. But regardless,
yeah.
The point is, like, when they go with the national team, it's a different level, and they're around guys that are at the top of the game in their country. So I think it always raises their level, and then it comes back, it brings them a different experience. Anytime these guys have gone to international camps, they always come back with something a little bit different, whether it's re-energized or whether they've been around top level guys. The guys are at the Euros, guys at Copa America. So I think that they come back with a different level of whether it's sharpness or a different mentality of how things were kind of approached in a serious tournament like that. So I think it can always be used as a great thing.
You used the word chip on your shoulder a couple times. Have you seen a difference in attitude or mentality in your players in the past couple of weeks?
Yeah, slightly. I think that in Salt Lake there was still a little bit of that. In New England there was a little bit more of that. I think that there's a never give up mentality, and that was something that it's carried with me in my whole life. Like I have that mentality of I might not be the best, but I'm not going to stop working. I'm not going to not give up on things. So I hope that every day we can get closer towards that. I don't think we're there yet, but I think we're making strides that we can be a team that way. Because if we have that, no matter who comes in or out of our group, when they plug in, they've got that mentality and they can add their qualities and challenge our environment. I think we'll be better for it.
Would you say they've kind of learned that mentality from you? It's something that's always been in them.
I think it's something that's been in them. I think they've got that, but it's how you can tap. We can all tap that out of them. Like what can I say to them, or what can we trigger that pulls a little bit more out of them?
Yeah, go back to the Orango goal for Salt Lake. Watching it again.
Come on, I thought we were moving forward, man.
No, this is a rules.
You already asked your set piece question.
It's a rules tactic.
You already
question.
asked it.
Well,
Come on, ask again.
I'm very wise.
Come on.
Lennon got picked on that play by another Salt Lake player. Number one, is that technically legal? And number two, if it is, how do you coach that? How do you coach to defend that when a player is getting picked on a set piece?
Yeah, I don't think he got picked. Whether it was maybe he was grabbing each other and trying to deal with both. Whatever happened was legal. There was no goal called back, so it was legal. But we got to be better as a group to shift the line and deal with that. Like, he couldn't be open in those moments. So that's really that. If he needs to get somebody off him, you got to shake their arms or whatever. Put a little karate chop or something like that in there and push to the back post. But as a group, we need to handle the whole situation better.
Thanks, Rob.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate
See you
it.
later.